Hello, welcome to another episode of the Solar Roundtable Africa with me, Ceesolar, brought to you by Olon. And today, drum roll, I'm very excited because I've got two important people in the studio with me, and I'm super excited about the conversation that we're about to have. So starting off, I'm going to introduce the person to my left. I've got Chibueze Ekeh. He's the CEO of Ceesolar Energy. And Chibueze, don't worry, we'll come back to that. And then to my right, we have Chibueze. He's from Owekoroha. I hope I got that properly. Yes. Community in Bayelsa State. And yeah, I can't wait to tell you why we have these two gentlemen in the studio with me this morning. So let's go. So gentlemen, okay, so first let's start from the fact that I don't believe in coincidences, right? And then I come into the studio and I have this green dress on that I haven't worn in 2 years. Wow. And Chibueze has got the green cap, cool. And Chibueze has got the green cap. So this is a very patriotic episode that we're going to have this morning. And we're just going to talk about like the beautiful things happening in the renewable energy space in Nigeria. So let's kick the conversation off, right? Can you, Chibueze, you run like, one of the most industrious, I would put it that way, because I've worked with you, and you run one of the most industrious renewable energy companies in Nigeria. So tell us a little bit about Ceesolar and why. I'm really curious about why. Why did you go into renewable energy? Why Ceesolar? Why? What's your why?
Thank you very much, Ceesolar. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Like you rightly said, it's a coincidence, but maybe it's not a coincidence that we're all here adorned in green. One thing for sure is we're passionate about Nigeria. We're passionate about solving problems. One thing we know also is that, leadership is important in solving problems. And I think for us, we saw an opportunity to come into the renewable energy space to lead, to ensure that people don't keep wondering when would they ever have power.
Yeah.
But just to, figure out from, all the innovation in the world today in terms of technology, how we can leverage distributed renewable energy resources to actually give people power, especially in the rural communities in the Niger Delta. So for us, it was just natural for us that with the support we've gotten from Olon, right from 2021 with our first mini grid, where we got a grant from Olon, and then, fast forward to last year when, after a competitive process, Ceesolar emerged as the winner of the pioneer winner of, thank you, don't worry, the pioneer winner of the Niger Delta electrification program.
Yeah.
It was really a proud moment just to really see that something that was an idea of the outgoing chairman, ended up being a reality, and he mentioned it at his sent forth ceremony. Yeah. So we're really proud, we're really happy, we're really, really encouraged by all the support we've gotten from Olon over the years. And I think most importantly, it's not really about me, it's about the team.
Yeah.
We have a very young, dynamic, passionate.
Emphasis on young. Your team is young. Like when I'm talking to them, I feel very old. I'm like, let me hide my gray hair. But yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, I'm sorry to cut you, but I was going to say that, that's one of the things that I'm excited about when I look at the whole renewable energy space. I find that like it's a lot of young people, and that gives me hope, right? Because I'm thinking that, I like the fact that the younger generation understand that there's a problem and they're keen to be a part of solving it. And even you yourself, you're like, yeah, small boy, but we shall live, we shall live that, so it's very encouraging, And before I go to the next question that I have, just to talk a little bit about, the Niger Delta electrification project, it was an idea that the Olon board came up with a few years ago. And it's just thought, okay, you know what? How do we hasten this whole, let's give people light? And if anybody knows anything about Olon, why we're here is to make sure that the unserved and underserved communities in Nigeria, they have light, correct. And so that's kind of like what gave birth to that idea that, let's see how we can work with companies like yours to make life different for people like Chibueze here. So that brings me to, talking to Chibueze, and I'm very happy. One of the things that we wanted to do was to find communities that, whether by virtue of the fact that it's hard to get to them, whether, the wahala plenty, whether it's water, you fly here, you jump here, you do road here, you climb water here, that kind of thing. So it was very exciting that, you came and said, oh, there's a community like Owekoroha Yes, every time I pronounce it correctly, I'm happy. There's a community like Owekoroha, and and that's how this happened. So, Chief, um, you know, the Bible says like there was no light, and then God said, "Let be light," and there was light. So, what was life like before the mini grid was built in your community, and what's life like now?
Thank you very much for your question. I'm Chief Waya D. Wayas from Owekoroha community in Southern Niger local government area of Bayelsa State. And actually, when there was no light, we are in darkness. We are in darkness. There is a saying that he who brings light brings life.
Yes.
So actually, when the light was commissioned on October last year,
Yeah.
there is life, a living life there in the Owekoroha community as I speak to you now.
Very good.
So I should thank God, thank Halon, and Ceesolar.
Yes,
Who
the
went
man.
there to
They went where no one dared to go.
who went there to erect this light for Owekoroha community. And I speak to you, Owekoroha community. Right now, there is light every day and night.
Woohoo!
So we are very, very happy. In fact, we are happier than any other person in I can say Bayelsa State. Because those at Yenagoatu,
Yeah.
some people came down to see if actually church is going on.
Oh, wow.
So it's surprising. We are the happiest.
Awesome. And they always say that life, like, green represents life, right? So I think that's kind of like why we're all in green today. Because, seriously, it's about bringing life. So, Chief, how many people are in your community? Do you have a rough idea of the number of people in that community?
I cannot really give the definite amount of people that live there, but
At least.
at least we have thousands of people there.
Wow.
Yes. We
Wow.
have thousands of people there.
So what kind of things, like, just off the top of your head, what kind of things will you say you can see now that before, when there was no lights, you can, so is it business? Have people started doing business? How are the children responding? How's education? How's your healthcare? Tell us about life there now.
Oh, I can talk of so many things there.
Please, Biko, talk.
Most especially students, they can read in the night. They can play about midnight anytime.
Yeah.
However, studies doesn't permit them to enjoy the light in the night.
Okay.
Moreover, business is going on smoothly there. Owekoroha community is a peace-loving community. Actually, it's a peace-loving community. We don't want anything problem. And so the chiefs govern them like that. Now, apart from that, I've spoken about business too. We don't have cool water, minerals, beers. But right now, anytime you go to Owekoroha, we have cool, mineral, beers, this and that, water.
We need to go and have a
Yeah.
drink in Owekoroha.
So it's all helped by Ceesolar and Halong.
Yes.
Above that, our major work occupation there is farming.
No.
Now we farm plantain and cassava. And cassava we use cassava to produce gari.
Yeah.
Now that there is light in our place, so many machines of grinding the cassavas are being present there. Then, moreover, when the gari is being grounded, they produce it. They produce it right in the night.
Wow.
Some people can use the night to produce the gari
Gary.
throughout. So the advantage is great. Moreover, I can say there are people who has gone there to establish business like this computer for starting this and that.
Oh, wow.
Because of that light. So many people have gone there.
Ooh.
So Wekura people, as I have mentioned earlier, he will bring light, bring life, a living life.
Please tell me that you're getting goosebumps and you're just proud of the work that you and your team did in that community.
And I really am, and I think I'm very inspired because this is why, just to partly answer your question, this is part of why we do what we do.
Yeah.
You know, anything we do must be impactful. Anything we do, we must do it in a classic manner. Anything we do must be innovative. And anything we do, most importantly, must be sustainable. And what that really means is that we must make sure that the people that we're doing it for, we engage with them. And
Absolutely.
that was what, you know, when we came to the community, the early days, when Engineer Emmanuel came and, you know, him and his team, you know, right from the initial engagement, like Chief has said, they are very welcoming, they're very peaceful. And, you know, that made the whole process seamless. You know, making sure that as we ferried our panels, batteries, inverters across the water, you know, we had the buy-in of the community, we had the buy-in of the men, the women, and the youth, you know, who were very supportive in ensuring that we had a smooth process. So within 3 months, you know, the mini grid was already up and running, and we're very proud and we're very grateful to Olon. Also very grateful to Owekora community for all the support.
Fantastic. Thank you. So, you know, one of the things that you said kind of like brings me to the question that I had in mind, that the process of, you know, of building this mini grid, right? I know, again, because, you know, I kind of like was involved in it, that you had to engage people, labor from within the community. So tell us a little bit about that, because, you know, like, I mean, there'll probably be companies that be like, oh, you know, we're bringing in all our experts and we're bringing in all our people, you know, but the fact that you chose that, okay, you know what, we're going to make sure that the community is a part of this. Tell us in what ways the community was a part of actually building this mini grid for themselves.
Okay, so from experience, you know, we've learned that, you know, when it comes to a successful project like this, one critical factor is engagement, community engagement, which is kind of on the soft side. People think, oh, you have to think around technical things, but if you don't engage well, you're doomed to fail. So right from the beginning, the engagement started, you know, right from, you know, coming into the community, being introduced to, you know, the chiefs, the committee of chiefs, where, you know, Chief Wire sits, and, you know, having their guidance, and then them ensuring that they also encourage the youth to see this as an opportunity, not just for there to be light, but also to be involved in what we are doing. So we were definitely, from day one, working with the youth in the community, people that were recommended by the elders who knew the right people we could work with. And then we ensured that we worked with the young men. We also worked with some women to ensure that really everybody got carried along in understanding that this thing that looked like something that is just talk and, you know, paperwork and whatever can actually power the community. And I'll be happy to even hear what Chief has to say about people's perception of, you know, solar, seeing the solar panels and being told that this is where the light is coming from. You can imagine that this is something that is innovative in Nigeria today, but it's really solving problems in those communities.
Awesome. Yeah. So before I ask Chief about that, let me, from your you know, one of the things that you mentioned earlier when you were talking is about sustainability. I mean, just from experience and just from being an onlooker at how most projects in Nigeria work, right? Most of the time it's like, oh, you know, big company has come in, they've provided this, but because the people don't feel a sense of ownership, right? Then after a few years, they say, you know, they work again. You don't kaput, you know, like, I'm like, what have you done differently to make sure that 10 years from now, Owekora community is maintaining the mini grid? What is that mindset shift that we have to have, or that you think has happened in this community that will make them know that 10 years from now, this is your property, you know, it's yours, and for you to continue to bring power, you kind of have to maintain it. So let me hear from your perspective, and then I'll hear from Chief Wires.
Fantastic. So I think for us, you know, one thing we tried to help them understand was that, you know, if anything has to be sustainable, you have to put in some frameworks that make it sustainable. And one thing that is very important is, as you operate and maintain the mini grid, it needs to be funded. Where would the funding come from paying for the power?
Yeah.
So the most important thing was working with the community to ensure that the power was affordable, because if it's affordable, then it can be reliable in the long term and it can be sustainable. And so far, we've gotten very good cooperation from the community, thanks to people like Chibueze, who are always there to ensure that, the young people, the old people see this as something that will benefit them, because they are the ones in the community. And with this light, like he has rightly said, people can be more productive, because one thing that is important is powering productivity.
Yeah.
And I think that has really helped, because the more you earn, the more you can actually afford to pay for power that you use at home or for your business.
Absolutely. Chief, are your people, do they understand that, in local palace, na them get them?
Really, that's the truth about it. We've not seen lights for a long time before this light came on board. So there is no embodiment from any source of the community. Moreover, the chiefs proclaimed the community, told everybody that this is our own personal light. Nobody owns it. Nobody will come back to collect it. So the thing is for us forever, and that everybody should look at it in that way.
Fantastic.
So every Tom, Dick, and Harry, men, women, youth, are taking proper care of that light. So if you have any bad mind of going to that Ceesolar area,
now you go beat and come out from the festival.
or Korea, people won't take it lightly with you.
Absolutely.
We can do you anything, take you to the place. And the Korea is not a nature of that kind.
Yeah.
So everybody is taking proper care, as if it is their own but problem.
Fantastic.
So there is no problem.
Fantastic. I'm super excited and super happy to hear that. Chibueze, what are your plans for the future? It's fantastic, like you mentioned, Olon supported, this in terms of bringing this to light. But what do you think that other companies, other organizations can do? And how do you think that, just corporate Nigeria, especially people interested in that space, how do you think that they can, I guess maybe what I'm trying to ask is, why don't we understand how simple this thing can really be? And why aren't more companies or more people doing more to bring solutions like this?
I think to answer that question, I will come from the other angle, which is, you and I, maybe we don't really consume power for power as itself. I mean, you're either charging your phone, your refrigerator, working with your laptop, today people have electric vehicles, right? So the future of the future of energy to a large extent is electricity, and the future of electricity is, clean electricity, renewable. So for people in Nigeria, one thing we've realized is the sooner we understand that, the better for us, especially in rural areas. I read something yesterday about, just speaking about cassava as well, that Nigeria is one of the countries that produces, a lot of cassava, but we also are not utilizing our capacity. We're not.
So all the I'm eating is not working. I'm not doing enough.
They say something like we can even replace a lot of the wheat that we import with, cassava.
Yeah.
The kind of cassava flour can do the same. So there's a lot of potential in rural areas, and I think the sooner we're able to ensure that we align industries where ultimately it becomes clear that renewable energy is one of the most cost-effective sources of power, then the more companies can see the need to leverage clean energy resources, even go into rural communities and establish industries. There are a lot of communities like Uwekora around the country.
Yeah.
The general thinking is that about half of Nigeria is in darkness. So imagine if you're going to these areas, you're making impact, you're making the investments, and ultimately, the unit cost of electricity is cheaper.
Yeah.
There can be a lot of jobs created, there can be a lot of impact created, and I think that's really what I would encourage a lot of companies to start thinking around that. In Nigeria today, people are saying, leave the country, Japa, but you can also stay here and
do something that makes sense.
And,
Absolutely. I could talk to you guys forever, but I know Chief has a flight to catch. We cannot let him miss his flight. And you also you have a busy day ahead. But, I'm just excited that we've had a chance to have this conversation, because one of the reasons why we started this podcast at Olon is there's a lot of talk about numbers. And if you notice, this is not about the money side of things. It's just about how life and how you can change life. Just a small drop here can change thousands of lives, and we're super excited that we've got a chance here today to just celebrate Owekoroha community, represented by Chibueze, and just celebrate how life has changed for the people in that community. And so I'm excited that I had a chance to talk to you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for honoring us, and thank you for coming on the podcast. And that would be the end of the podcast for today. Thank you very much for joining us. The aim of this podcast is to just bring renewable energy to the average everyday person, and just help you understand, what's going on behind the scenes, and how just providing a mini grid or just providing something, can change lives and impact people's lives. So I hope you got a chance to listen to our chat today with Chibueze and Chibueze from Ceesolar. And I hope that this inspires you to know that whatever it is that you're doing out there can make a difference in one person's life or thousands of lives, just like Owekoroha community. So thank you for joining us today. My name is Ceesolar, and I will see you on the next episode of Solar Roundtable Africa, brought to you by Olon. Ciao.